Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to the season finale of the X Factor Sports Podcast, season 4. We got a great show for you guys tonight. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. We are on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Rumble for the last time. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube or Rumble if you want to catch future episodes on the X Factor Sports Podcast. We are also live everywhere on the audio podcast on all the audio platforms, so you can check us out there. You can also check out past episodes. So we got a great show for you guys tonight. We're going to start with the NHL. We dive into those layup lines. We got the NHL final, the Stanley Cup. We got the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. All right. If y'all been paying attention, you've seen that Florida, they held serve at home. They're up 2-0 going to Edmonton. They play game 3 tomorrow night. And this series has been chippy already. I mean, we got hockey sticks to the nuts. We got shoulder checks to the face, like all different types of stuff happening in these first 2 games. So I can see the Oilers coming out on fire, ready to play, ready to get back in this series and make it 2-1. These fans are going to go crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a fight in the first 5 minutes. All right. Just to set the tone up in Edmonton. But it's been an exciting series so far. Connor McDavid hasn't scored any goals yet, which is surprising. I feel like they're going to get him going early. He's going to make a statement. He'll probably get a goal or 2 on Thursday night. So be sure to tune into that. The Stanley Cup Final happening the same time as the NBA Finals. Those seasons run parallel with each other. So check that out. It's going to be a chippy match tomorrow night. In Major League Baseball, the story we got going on right now in Major League Baseball, it's a long season, so there's a lot of things that can go on. We can get into the dog days and all that, but right now in the summertime, we got Juan Soto of the New York Yankees. I'm actually going to see Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and all them tomorrow, going to that day game. I'm going to check it out. Got to see at least one game a year for sure. And Juan Soto, he's going to be the talk this year because this offseason, it'll be a bidding war for him. Sort of like Shohei Ohtani with the Angels and the Dodgers. It's going to be the same thing with Juan Soto. He's currently a Yankees player. It will be a bidding war between the Yankees and the Mets. They're projecting that he will get a $655 million deal. But if you know anything about the salary cap less Major League Baseball, I think that number will be north of 655 for sure. Juan Soto is an all-star. He is a premier player for the Yankees, and he's young. A DH can hit the ball a ton. So I think I can see him going north of 650 real easy, which is crazy to talk about when we talk about money. But that's where we're at in Major League Baseball. We got Mr. $700 million out in LA. Everything will be set from that precedent moving forward. Who will make the most money, and Juan Soto's next up. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear $700 million talk for him. But we'll see. I'm going to check him out live and in person and get y'all a scoop next season on what I think of him. So that'll be cool. So on to the NBA. We'll get into the finals. We got a segment for the finals. We talk about Boston and Dallas with that series shifting to Dallas. But I want to talk more about the NBA draft real quick. The draft is June 26th, so that's 2 weeks away. And the reason I think Bronny is staying in the draft this offseason is because this is going to be a weaker draft. I just call it like it is. This will be a weaker draft than next season. We got a lot of prospects that'll be one and done. Cooper Flagg will probably be the main guy next year. And Bronny doesn't want to be in college getting critiqued all over again and then having to follow that class up. I think this is a good class for him to stay in the draft. If you watch the draft in 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of, who, what? Because a lot of these players are coming from overseas. This is going to be that type of draft. It's going to be a lot of these players from France, Serbia, all overseas in Europe coming to the league this year. I think out of the first 5 picks, you might get one NCAA player y'all might recognize. Reed Shepherd will probably get drafted by the Rockets at 3. I think you'll get a bunch of foreigners after that. That's what I see. It'd be cool to see Dalton Connect also, kid that played at Tennessee, All-American. It'd be cool to see if Memphis could draft him at 9. I'm not sure he's going to fall that far. They have the Spurs might be able to get him early. I feel like that'd be pretty cool to keep him in Tennessee. Memphis needs it. It'll be good for ticket sales. You got John Morant coming back. He's got a shooter, athletic guy to play with. Him and Desmond Bane, I think that'd be cool to see. I just don't think Dalton Connect will fall that far. He was good. Like I said, the Spurs, they got 2 picks in the top 10. They got the opportunity to get a foreigner like they usually do. And then they can probably get a pick from the NCAA. So they got a chance to play around with some of those picks, maybe even trade down, get some free agents. We'll see what the Spurs do, try to get something around Wemby this season. Who knows? The Bulls, they got the 10th pick. We all know they're going to pick somebody from Serbia because that's what the Bulls do. And I'm not going to be surprised if I hear some Serbian name that the Bulls pick. So be sure to check out NBA Draft. Like I said, in 2 weeks on the 26th, we'll already have an NBA champion crowned. And then we'll talk about who is the future of the NBA with these new picks. So segueing into that, we're talking about the NBA, we're talking about the draft, we're talking about college. What better way than to talk about the LA Lakers, right? Can the Lakers get their stuff together? Okay. That's what we need to find out. Can they get it together? Dan Hurley basically went out there, got a free flight, a free meal, got some talking to, and took everything back to Connecticut. And I feel like that might have been the plan all along. All right. Everybody was talking about he's going to be the next Lakers coach. They felt like the Lakers got their guy. It was interesting. When I first saw the Lakers going after Dan Hurley, I'm like, all right, he didn't sign a deal with Connecticut yet. This could be a leverage play. I never saw him leaving Connecticut because of what he built and the type of coach he is. He's the perfect fit for youngsters. I don't see him coaching that style in the NBA anyway. And he's looking for a deal. So all of the factors of that, all this happening at the same time, hot college coach, he's fresh off a back-to-back national championship, and he's a hot commodity. So I understand the Lakers trying to make a splash. That's what the Lakers do. But the Lakers front office has been out of control since Magic left. I mean, let's talk about it. Even though they won that championship, Magic was kind of the architect of that team. He got LeBron there, which in turn got AD there. And they were able to kind of put together all the other pieces around them. A pandemic happened. And then they won the 2020 championship. Since that championship and Magic Johnson leaving the franchise, they have been a mediocre basketball team. They are 123 wins and 123 losses. The definition of mediocre, right? They're a 500 ball club since that title. They either didn't make the playoffs, or they were a play-in team, or they barely got in by the skin of their teeth and then they lost. They did make it to a conference final, so they get credit for that, although they did get swept in that conference final. You had Frank Vogel, you let him go. You had Darvin Ham, you let him go. So they've already fired 2 coaches and been a play-in team and been a 500 team since Magic Johnson left. So where do the Lakers go from here? All right. Now we insert Dan Hurley and JJ Redick, weird enough. But what Dan Hurley basically did was leverage the Lakers because they needed a coach. 2 weeks away from the draft, nonetheless. Now they got to scramble and find a coach. A coach has to put a staff together and draft somebody or do something with the picks to sustain this team. It's a clown show out there in LA. So back to Dan Hurley. The Dan Hurley piece of this is Gino Auriemma, the coach, the women's coach of UConn, got a deal signed earlier this year. Gino Auriemma, to his credit, is a legend, but he hasn't won a national championship in a decade. Dan Hurley comes into the program for the men and win back-to-back national championships, which is very hard to do at the men's level. especially with transfer portal, with one and dones, all NIL, all these things. For him to be able to do that in this era says a lot about Dan Hurley. And the fact that he doesn't have a contract at this point raised eyebrows. And he even came out publicly talking about, why haven't I gotten a deal done? It's, I want to be loyal, but, I figured a deal will be done at this point for all I've done for UConn. So I don't know if he necessarily got recruited by the Lakers, or if the Lakers recruited him, or if he recruited the Lakers, because it felt like the ample opportunity to go out there, hear what they had to say. And this is where the Lakers messed up, and where they always mess up. They make everything public. That's why I call them the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. At least their fans are. They make everything public. So now they go out and say, we offered 6 years, $70 million to him, which is like the 6th highest salary under Monty Williams, who's in basketball Siberia in Detroit. Like, how are you going to bring a coach in and say you want him and offer that money? That's not enough to get him to stay. I know people are going to look crazy, like, it's 6 years, $70 million. Jay, what you talking about? He ain't making that in college. It's a simple philosophy. At the professional level, if you fly out or bring somebody to your building, you do not let them leave without signing a deal. And as soon as I heard that he had went back to Connecticut, I was like, he's never coming back to LA. They lost the deal. You do not let somebody of that caliber or any coach leave the building without signing something. And that's where they messed up. So they lowballed it. They lowballed the deal. They thought that they could just say the mystique of the Lakers and championships, and you got LeBron. But you got to think of it from Dan Hurley's point of view. He probably have LeBron for 1 or 2 years, right? He won't be able to implement his system. He won't be able to coach the way he wants to coach, because everything has to go through him. And then he'd end up getting fired in a couple years anyway. We've seen this throughout LeBron's career. We've seen this throughout LeBron's tenure in LA. He's going to have his 3rd coach in 6 years here, right? It's kind of like the person that keeps getting in new relationships. You're the common denominator, my guy. So something's got to give. We got to start looking in the mirror here, all right? He's going to be in year 21, 22, and we're still talking about coaches and what we need to do. And so the Lakers as a franchise, I'm going to circle back around to why this is a clown show, right? Their 2 choices is a player in J.J. Redick, who just retired a couple years ago, has no coaching experience, does sideline reporting for ESPN, and does a podcast with one of your players. That's their option 1. And then your other option is a coach from college with no NBA experience, who you won't allow to implement his system with the players. So now where do they go? Like, this is like Rudy Tomjanovich, and this is like the 2006, 2005, that murky area the Lakers were in when Kobe was like, all right, just trade me. Y'all ain't going to figure this out. Let me go. They're getting back into that area. And the funny thing about this, juxtaposed to the Lakers, their arch nemesis, the Boston Celtics, are on the cusp of winning another championship and hanging up banner number 18, which would be one more than the Lakers. While the Lakers are in the middle of this turmoil, their arch rivals on the other side of prosperity. It's crazy. You can't make this stuff up, right? You can't make this up. All this happening in one time is ridiculous to me. And then Kyrie Irving in the center of it, playing for Dallas, used to play for Boston. Kyrie and LeBron fawning over him in interviews, saying, man, it was just so great playing with Kyrie. Reminiscent, like AD ain't on his team and he didn't win a championship with him. You can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. So the question to you guys, y'all let me know, can the Lakers get this together? Can they figure this out? Be sure to put your comments in on the bottom. Let me know what you think about this show that's going on that is the Lakers. Can Rob Pelinka and Jenny Buss get this thing together? I mean, Jerry Buss is, God rest his soul, far removed from this. They can't blame it on the brothers anymore. It's just turned into a witch hunt of who we can get the coach, what big name can we have. And also, I'll end it on this. Everybody knows that Ty Lue was their first choice, but he stayed with the Clippers. So now anybody you hire knows that they're going to be the third, fourth, fifth option. It's the same thing when they hired Frank Vogel. That was the most awkward interview for a new head coach because he knew he was like the third choice. So the fact that he had to sit up there and answer them questions. So now what's going to happen to whoever they hire now, knowing that Dan Hurley was chose before them. JJ Redick has allegedly been chose before you in other circles. 6 years, $70 million is out there in the open now. So Dan Hurley is going to go and leverage that with UConn. I guarantee you in the next week, Dan Hurley will be the highest paid college coach in basketball. He's going to use that, and he's going to surpass Bill Self and be the highest paid coach. So thanks to the Lakers. You know, Dan Hurley can thank them for the raise. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Are the Lakers, can they get a hold of this? Are they going to get this under control, or are we going to see this for the next couple of years? Y'all let me know. All right. So I'm going to pivot. We're staying in the NBA, but we're going to talk NBA Finals. Okay? Dallas, Boston. Boston up 2-0. They held serve at home, just like the Florida Panthers did in the NHL. Boston did what everybody thought Boston would do, and they held serve. Now, tonight, going on right now, Dallas is in Dallas for Game 3. A lot of things have to change for them to get into this series. Yes, everybody's going to talk about the greatness of Luka, Kyrie not giving them enough offensively. I think the role players are going to play good at home. They usually do. You saw what the role players did in Boston. I think Dallas's role players will play good tonight. I have no doubt that will happen. But Vegas is already telling you what they think. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable. I wouldn't play him. I don't think he's playing. I wouldn't play him anyway. But even with that, Dallas is still only 2.5-point favorites at home. So Vegas is already telling you what they think. Boston's a good team regardless if Porzingis plays, and they have a chance to win this game on the road. Now, Dallas has to do some things that are going to be hard to do in the playoffs just because this isn't the makeup of their team. So they can't really make fundamental changes like that quick with a young team. Maybe if they have more veterans, they could. But the matchups, this is just a bad matchup for Dallas. So they're going to need some historical games out of Kyrie and Luka. Almost like, it's funny, we're talking Dallas. It's like when Dallas played against the Miami Heat in 06. Dallas was up 2-0, and at halftime, they were beating the Heat. And D-Wade and everybody in the locker room just said, all right, forget it. We got it. We can't go out like this. And then D-Wade proceeded to average 35 points a game the rest of the series and become Finals MVP. Like, that's kind of where I think Dallas has to be at this point. Something historic has to happen for them to beat this team because Boston is just better than them at every position on the floor. They're the deeper team. They're the more athletic team. They're the better defensive team, like we talked about in episode 10. They're favored to win. I don't know why anybody was surprised by it. Now, I feel like Kyrie will play better back in Dallas. He'll have more support there. But the biggest thing is the role players, because you know what you're going to get or supposed to get from your stars. It's the role players in this entire playoffs that have been the difference. The Derek Whites, the PJ Washingtons, the Daniel Gaffords. That's going to be the difference in Game 3 tonight, is how the role players play. And I think Kyrie will get a rhythm. I'm not too worried about the stars. Stars will be stars. On the Boston side, they've been hanging their head on defense. It's as simple as that. I don't think that, other than Jrue Holiday, I don't think Jaylen Brown has had a monster game or monster series. Tatum has been struggling offensively, but he's found ways to score and do other things. But Boston's been hanging their hat on defense. The defense is what they've been doing all season, and it's what they've been doing all playoffs. The Dallas Mavericks average over 100 points, 110 points or something like that in the playoffs. In 8 quarters, these first 2 games, they scored 25 points in a quarter once. Right? So a team that scores like that have the firepower of Luka and Kyrie, they've only scored 25 points in 1 quarter this series. So it's obviously the defense is why Boston has been able to do what they do. Yes, they've gotten contributions from KP. Drew Holiday has been amazing, and he's a champion already, so he's going to do whatever he needs to do to win. But at the same time, it's the defense, the defensive effort for 48 minutes. Luka's getting his points, but they're all tough, contested points. He's getting pressure from everybody. He's got to deal with the size and the physicality of Boston. And for 48 minutes, that takes a toll on you. I saw the bottom line of the screen on game 2, and it said Luka is questionable for hip. It was ribs, chest, and ankle, or something. Knee, chest, and ankle. I'm like, damn. So he's just getting beat up. But it's a physical series, and they're letting them play. It's the finals. You're at the highest level. Welcome to the NBA Finals. So with that, with Boston being the better team and could very well win this game tonight without KP, I think Dallas will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boston goes up 3-0. Let's kill all the talk about who's better between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like, stop, all right? Y'all been saying this for years. Tatum is the better basketball player, okay? You know how I know that Jason Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown? Because the only time y'all bring up if Jaylen Brown is better is when Jaylen Brown has a better game. Nobody just ever comes out and says that Jaylen Brown's better. It's always if he has a good game or a good playoff run, it's like, oh, he's better. It's a reason that Jason Tatum has been a three-time first-team All-NBA player. That's not an accident. 32 out of 32 GMs will pick Jason Tatum over Jaylen Brown. He's the better basketball player overall. Yes, Jaylen Brown got Eastern Conference Finals MVP. But what y'all fail to realize is that Jason Tatum averaged 30, 10, and 8 in that series. All right? The reason he got that MVP is because he hit the game winner in game 1. And I think he had a 40-point game or something like that. It was only 4 games. All right. But if we're looking at numbers, Tatum had the better series. He was the best player in that series and every series. And in this series, him and Drew Holiday have the best plus-minus for all my analytical people. So now what are we talking about? Out of any other players in this finals, Jason Tatum has the best plus-minus with Drew Holiday. So what are we talking about? Even with the bad shooting, he's still averaging, and he had 12 assists in game 2, 9 rebounds. And in game 1, he almost had a triple-double, had 10, 11 rebounds. So he's doing everything. He's defending on both ends. He's the best rebounder on the team with 7-footers on his team. It's just because he's not shooting the ball well, he's mature enough to understand that he can impact the game in other ways. Now, that doesn't take away from how good Jaylen Brown is. But at the same time, Jason Tatum's been a better basketball player than him since he got in the league. And that hasn't changed. So let's pump the brakes on the Jaylen Brown being better than him. Relax. All right. Because if Jason Tatum's not on this team, they're not in the finals. So everybody just chill out. But for this finals, since we'll be gone, the finals will be over by the time we get back for season 5. I picked the Celtics in 6, and it's looking like it can go that route. A lot of people are saying 5. We had a raffle last week, not necessarily a raffle, but we talked about getting your picks in. Whoever got their picks in and got them right will get a free X Factor Sports Podcast shirt. So I'm looking forward to see who get those right and who we can ship it out to. I got Celtics in 6. They're up 2-0 right now, game 3 going on. We'll see how that rolls out. But I like what I'm seeing from Boston. Total team effort. Drew Holiday looks great. Drew Holiday might get Finals MVP. It might be an Andre Iguodala, Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio situation. They weren't the best players. But for that series, they were the most valuable. So I could see that happening here. So y'all tune in. Let me know what y'all think. Be sure on your comments. Let me know how you feel like the series is going, who you think is going to win game 3. And for fun, let's talk about it. Who we think's better, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum? Y'all already know how I feel. Tatum's always been better. He still is. And his impact on the series is showing that. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe on the X Factor Sports Podcast on YouTube and Rumble. Next season, all the episodes like this will be on YouTube. So you'll be able to tune in, check us out. You will still get the reels and you'll get the takes on all your social media platforms. But if you're trying to catch episodes, YouTube and Rumble, check us out. All right, so let's shift to this. The NFL. We got the offseason, we got OTAs, we got mini camps that Aaron Rodgers are missing, mandatory, even though he's talking about, man, the Jets should be all about football, but he missed a mandatory mini camp. That's a story for another day, right? But let's talk about the NFL. Who had the best offseason? And to me, there are two teams that are probably tied for having the best off seasons, and they're in the same division. And I'm going to start with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, their offseason was amazing. I give them an A for their offseason. Not only did they make it to the NFC Championship game this year, won the division, and then the front office went to work. All right. They kept all their guys in the building. They kept Jared Goff. They kept St. Brown. They kept Sewell. So you took care of those guys. Then you added DJ Reader from Cincinnati, which is great. They drafted well, mainly getting Terrion Arnold, a cornerback from Alabama. So I feel like they did everything they need to do in the offseason. Whatever list they had, I'm sure they checked all the boxes. So I'm excited to see what Detroit looks like again for a second year in a row if they can come back. What I don't like is that they're in the same division as the Bears. And I feel like the Bears this year are the other team that had a good offseason. So the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears, I feel like they've had the two best off seasons. And kind of the same thing as what Detroit did, the Bears were able to check some boxes. They kept Jalen Johnson in the building, the number one cornerback. They made sure he stayed. The Bears got to work early in the free agency. All right, we got DeAndre Swift. We got Keenan Allen. Then we drafted Caleb Williams at number 1. We stole Rome Odunze at 9 from Washington, which was great. And we got a good offensive tackle from Yale in the 3rd round. So I feel like overall, the Bears had a great offseason, one of their better off seasons. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the young guys can do with the veterans. The only thing I don't like about this offseason is that we're on Hard Knocks. When I saw that, I texted some of my Bears guys and was like, man, we probably don't make the damn playoffs because the Bears are on Hard Knocks. That's almost as bad as being on the front of the Madden cover, man. I don't want to see the Bears on Hard Knocks. Hopefully it won't be a curse and the Bears can prevail, but we'll see what happens. But I feel like with the Bears players, they got what they wanted with Caleb Williams. They secured offensive weapons, keeping their number 1 cornerback. I feel like they had a good offseason. I'm anxious to see what the preseason predictions will be for the Bears and the Lions. But if we're talking about two teams that had a great offseason, I think these two teams had the best offseason in terms of keeping people in-house, free agency, and the draft. I think these are the two teams that kind of checked all those boxes. All right? Let me know what y'all think about those. So now, we got a little more basketball to talk about. Usually I do ladies first, but I saved the best for last with the ladies of the season. All right? USA women's basketball. Everybody's going to be up in arms about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark didn't make the USA basketball team. She should have. She didn't. Why? Why not? Before I give y'all the simple reason as to why she didn't make it or why she shouldn't have made it, I'm going to play around with a couple of different scenarios. All right? From a marketing standpoint, I get it. Caitlin Clark is famous. She has moved the needle for the WNBA. She is making it better for the casual fan to watch the WNBA, right? So from a marketing standpoint, I understand why Caitlin Clark wouldn't be on this team. It's, in Paris. It's the USA team. Everybody can see it from a global standpoint. All right. That all sounds fine and dandy. However, there's this little thing on teams called chemistry, right? So, number one, USA women's basketball has been going on forever, right? They've already made a stamp overseas. Also, women's basketball, when the WNBA is over, where do y'all think these women go in the wintertime? They already play overseas. So they already have established themselves in that lane in terms of worldwide basketball. So I don't know how much she would have helped there, right? Because people overseas don't know who she is yet anyway. She's more of an American favorite, more so than a European favorite. So when we get into the team dynamic, the simple answer is she's not good enough to be on this team. She's 22 years old. She's a rookie. She hadn't done anything yet in the WNBA to warrant being on this team in the first place. So who do you take off if you put her on, right? Everybody that's on this team is a 4 or 5 year vet who's earned the right to be on this team, and half the team has Olympic experience already at this level, not at the college level or the juniors level. So who do you take off, right? She's not good enough to make the team yet, and it's fine. She's 22 years old, okay? She's going to be on the Olympic team in 2028 and beyond. She's going to be good enough. She's just not good enough yet. It's not unprecedented that people don't make the team. So we asked a question about if Caitlin Clark got snubbed or not. She did not get snubbed. She's just not good enough yet. All right? Everybody relax. The WNBA takes a break for the Olympics. So this is a good time for Caitlin Clark to get with the Indiana Fever, with the coaching staff, watch some film, get some rest, because she went straight from college to the WNBA game anyway. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise for her to sit back, take it all in, get some rest, and prepare for a push to get into the playoffs in the WNBA. There's only 12 teams in the league, and 8 of them make the playoffs. So she can take this time and take advantage of it and figure out how to get her team to the WNBA playoffs. But then we talk about the dynamic and the chemistry of a team, right? The camaraderie. Think about if she got on that team undeservingly. How does that play in the locker room with your players? How do they treat her? What are the practices looking like? What are the hangouts looking like? Like, are they alienating her because she didn't earn the right to be there and somebody else that should have been there is at home? You got to think about all these dynamics in team sports. I know y'all listen to ESPN and all the media talking about Caitlin Clark, she should have made the team, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, if you played a team sport, you understand that everything is earned and not given. And the respect comes to the people that earn it. And she ain't earned it yet. How you going to put her on a team with Asia Wilson, with Sabrina Ionescu, Stewie, like people that have earned the spot, MVPs, champions, all-stars. She's been playing professional basketball for a month and a half. And y'all talking about she's supposed to be on Team USA? Come on, man, chill out. She can wait. She'll be better for it. And when she's 26 years old, entering her prime, probably a couple all-star nods, probably some playoff wins, she would have earned her spot on that team. And they will accept her with open arms. But right now, it's not the time. It's just not her time yet. She'll have to wait. So, no, she did not get snubbed, and it would have messed up the chemistry anyway. I'll give you an example. It's not a complete parallel of an example, but when it comes to team camaraderie, it'll make sense. When the Dream Team came out in 92, Isaiah Thomas deserved to be on that team. He's better than John Stockton, flat out. He should have been on the team based off talent alone, right? But you have to think about the chemistry of that team. When 92 came out, they picked the team a year before. And during that time, he was with the Bad Boy Pistons. They did the walkout on the Bulls, so Scotty and Mike. Karl Malone had busted him upside the head the year before and gave him stitches. Probably wouldn't get along with that guy in the locker room. Him and Magic Johnson weren't on speaking terms no more. They pushed and shoved each other in the finals a few years before that. Probably wouldn't get along with him. Barkley and Larry Bird openly admitted that they hated the Detroit Pistons. So you can't be in the locker room with them. So it's like 7, 8 players already that don't vibe with him. No matter how good he is as a player, the chemistry of that team and what USA was trying to establish wouldn't have worked. So he couldn't have been on that team. I'm not saying it's the same thing as Caitlin Clark, but the parallels match up because of the camaraderie. It wouldn't have made sense to put her on this team because she didn't earn it and because of the camaraderie of the players that did earn it. How would that work in terms of chemistry trying to win a gold medal? It wouldn't work. So bottom line is she's not good enough to play yet. And it wouldn't have worked well to just add her on a team when she's been a pro for 6 weeks. So that's where I'm at with it. You guys in the comments, let me know in the comments what you think. Did Caitlin Clark get snubbed, yes or no? You clearly see what my answer is. She has plenty of time. Her, Angel Reese, all the young ladies, they will have their time to shine. But let's learn the pro game first before we get into the international side of it, and let the women who have won gold medals for us and are ready to win another one go over there and do their thing. And then the tradition goes on and on, right? And this ain't the first time people have been snubbed in Team USA basketball. So, and it won't be the last. But I don't think this is a snub job. She's just not ready yet. So that's how I feel about it. All right. Before we get out of here, that was a great segue to go into our 2-minute warning, the last 2-minute warning of the season. All right. Where we talk about earned versus given. Just like anything in life, whether it's sports or work, anything in your life, people always think that something should be given to them. That always annoyed me for some reason. Maybe it's because of how I grew up, being the youngest of 5, west side of Chicago. We didn't get anything. We had to go out and get everything and earn everything. So it rubs me the wrong way when people always out a damn handout, right? And I deserve this and I deserve that. Nobody deserves anything if they don't work for it. Everything is earned, not given. Respect is earned, not given. You can't expect somebody to respect you and you being disrespectful. It doesn't work that way. You give what you get. I talk to Miss D about it all the time. What the energy that I get from somebody is, or the energy I give to somebody is a reflection of the energy they give me, right? I'm like a mirror. What you see is what you get. And I have no problem going out and getting it, right? For years, I've talked about wanting to do a podcast. I've talked about doing it with other people. And I don't like waiting for people. I'm going to just go out and do it. So here we are in our 4th season, the finale, because I wanted to come out and get it, right? And I'm going to come out and earn it. I'm not going to let nobody has to give me anything. And I'm not going to have my hand out for it. So you got to go earn it. That's the main thing. So remember that when you go out and you want to go get something and you have goals and aspirations, put your hands away unless you're taking your hands out to go earn something. All right. It's never given. Respect, trust, any of that. Hard work, accolades, rewards, all that stuff is earned. And the only way you're going to earn it is if you go get it. All right. This is Jay Mondane of the X Factor Sports Podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the season finale. I got a lot to get to before we close out. I want to thank a lot of people. I want to thank y'all for stopping by for the finale. Special thanks to the top fans. My boy D. Will, Kev, Coop, Kat and Greg, KT, Amanda, Heather and Brian, top fans. I want to thank all the fans that bought the X Factor Sports Podcast shirts this season. Wildy, CJ, Adam Page, the Shaws, G. Turner, Ham, Jay Banks, Nikki and the fam, Spice, L Boogie, Smoke, Cousin Edie, Tone, Brandon, and Fernando G. I want to thank all you guys for the support. I hope everybody else tunes in, subscribe, like, share to the X Factor Sports Podcast. Get all the seasons on YouTube if you subscribe and all the audio platforms. This was a great season. We got bigger and better things for season 5. You do not want to miss it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and tap into me if you want to get one of these shirts in any color, any size. This is Jay Mondane of the X Factor Sports Podcast. Peace.